are encouraged.
Coffee with a Dog is live streaming now. My dog is your mind's best friend.
My dog is your mind's best friend.
Wake up, America. You've got a dog that needs walking. That's right, sunshine. Just put on a big pot of strong coffee and get ready to type your little hate mail with your opinions about kumbaya and flat earth insanity. Stand-up comedy? You want stand-up comedy? Well, we've got sit-down comedy. It's time for Coffee with a Dog. You make me laugh.
I am born in real life.
America and Canada and some other parts of the world. It is feels like a Thursday because I took the trash out. So I'm gonna just say it's a Thursday and hope I got the day right. Thursday, January 16th, 2025. It's kind of a Winnie the Pooh kind of day here. What? Winnie the Pooh. We have in hour one, we have a comedian, Chris Robinson, which is Christopher Robinson. Got it? Like Christopher Robin from Winnie the Pooh, or Chris Robinson. It's a stretch, I know. But I'm Tim Paul. What do you expect? And in the second hour, David Mita, who's going to talk to us about depression and elections. He's got a memoir. He's a former Minnesota State Secretary of State, or Deputy of Elections for the Secretary of State in Minnesota. And he's going to talk about, we were robbed. We were robbed. But in the meantime, we're Winnie the Pooh ended up here. Here's the deal. If you're planning on going to the inauguration for King Shitler on the 20th, it's going to be cold as fuck, but TMN, or TWN, I'm sorry, TWN, Trustworthy News, has said that the FBI and Homeland Security are actively involved in a plot to cause havoc. So you probably shouldn't go. Don't go to the inauguration. You know what? Even if you're a hardcore Trumper, we don't want to see you get anthraxed or a dirty bomb nuked. Stay home. Watch it on TV. Watch him get dirty bomb nuked and anthraxed. That's what you should do. So don't go. That's what I'm saying. The FBI and HSN have not returned phone calls to this show because we never made those phone calls. But if we did, they still wouldn't return our phone calls because, you know what, they're kind of like, you know, bars that I want to play in now. That's what they're like. Anyway, so don't go. Don't go to the inauguration. Don't even pay attention to it, you know. But listen, I'm kind of hoping, where do you get anthrax from? But I'm kind of hoping that the threats are real. I kind of am. I'm ready. But here's the deal. Vance will be there too, right? He gets sworn in at the same time, right? Am I right? Am I right? If somehow somebody ends up offing King Shitler, J.D. Vance wins. And here's the deal. Here's what I'm thinking about that. Peter Thiel wins. And basically, Elon Musk bought the election for Peter Thiel then, right? Because Peter Thiel owns J.D. Vance. Elon's got he owns Trump. But if Trump dies, it's like a gift from Elon to Thiel, which is kind of ironic in that Thiel created Musk's wealth or helped him get started in that. So it will be a good twist to the soap opera of How the Country Burns is the name of the new soap opera that we are going to be airing here on Mind Dog TV. Actually, it'll be on StreamYard somewhere. Just look for it over there, I think. Or I'm either that or I'm lying. And chances are I'm lying. We have a new sponsor, of course. I forgot to play their bit yesterday. Simply Sing. It will help you sing. And you know what? And I should have played it yesterday because GD mentioned that I look good as a mermaid. He actually said that. He said I look good as a mermaid. So Simply Sing. But here's the deal. You no longer, for this one and for all of these sponsors now, you're not going to have to dig deep within the description to find links. You can just go to minddogtv.com/sing. minddogtv.com/sing.
Up where they walk, up where they run, up where they stay.
I think he blew
Up where they walk, up where they run, up where they stay all day in the sun, wandering free. Wish I could be part of that world.
Yeah. Very white. Part of that world. Oh, sorry. I was having fun as a mermaid there. News, and then we'll meet the Winnie the Pooh.
This is News in 60 with Alan Edwards.
The U.S. Navy has announced the construction of 4 new nuclear submarines to bolster its fleet, which is showing signs of age.
Today's submarine force is the most capable in history, both for the U.S. Navy and globally, stated Navy Secretary Carlos Del Toro.
Nawaf Salam, Lebanon's prime minister-designate, issued a call for unity and cooperation to save, reform, and rebuild the country.
Salam specifically extended his outreach to all, notably addressing Hezbollah, which has expressed anger over his nomination to head the new government.
House Speaker Mike Johnson announced his intention to raise the Capitol's flags, which are currently at half-staff in honor of former President Jimmy Carter for the inauguration of President-elect Donald Trump, contradicting a White House order. Steve Bannon has been ordered to appear in court next week to explain why he changed legal representation so close to his trial, according to a ruling by a New York judge.
Bannon, a former senior advisor to President-elect Donald Trump, is set to face trial on February 25th.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, in the room with me right now, Stephen the Pooh Ortiz,
Home brother.
Ron the Iglet Piglet Kane, and GD Pigger the nice guy.
Good morning, America. The most wonderful thing about is a wonderful thing. The tops are made out of steel wool. The bottoms are made out of dings.
Right.
What's happening?
I don't know.
Anal.
I'm a big fan of the Winnie the Pooh stuff.
I'm a big fan of anal.
Honey. I'm a big fan of. I'm really not a big fan of honey. So anyway, good news, and good news, right? Good news. The Iran Contra. What is it? Israel, right? Israel and Hamas got together, just curiously enough, to decide on settling their beef. Like, remember?
I wouldn't call it settling. It's a tentative ceasefire.
Yeah,
it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah,
that genocide. You're freeing the hostages, right?
In that part of the world, take what you can get. It's a step in the right direction.
I don't know, man. You got to be careful when you step out there with all the IEDs, man.
Here's the deal. This is
okay. No, I want to. It's my. I explain the deal, and then you could explain the deal.
Okay, go ahead. But I was talking about a different deal. I guarantee you I was talking about a different deal. But
hey, this isn't Donald Trump's the art of the deal. Okay, just do it.
We could talk about that later. But the deal is Nixon went to South Vietnam and said, keep the war going until after the election so I could get elected. Reagan went and said, hey, what happened? What?
Reagan never said, wait, what happened? See, Reagan never said, wait, what happened? Well, maybe he did to Nancy.
Yeah. What the fuck? Steven is doing this with this dopey little fucking
My
iPad.
iPad's not doing it. I'm not touching anything.
It doesn't matter. It's your iPad that does it every time you leave, and or the iPad does that. It fucks up everything. So it's your fault. It doesn't matter.
It's the web page reloading
technology that you're using that fucks up everything for everybody. Are you ashamed of yourself? You should be. Okay. Now, Nixon goes to South Vietnam and says, "Don't end the war until after I get elected, and don't have a ceasefire or any of that stuff." Then Reagan goes to Iran and makes a deal and says, "Don't release the hostages until after I get elected, and so I could take credit for it." And Trump, who is already known to have said, "Don't have a border deal. I want to run on the border deal. I need the border to be insecure, so I can run on it." Went and made a deal with Bibi, who said, don't make a deal with Hamas until after I'm elected to write and have it released on inauguration day, so I can take the credit. It's an old trick, but it's called treason. That's the deal. And the problem is he'll get away with it because we don't have the balls to do anything about it. Now, GD will explain his deal, which is on OnlyFans.
Well, to be honest, according to the Biden team, the Trump team was involved with permission along the way. They didn't run it. They didn't run the deal. They didn't run the negotiations. It was one of Trump's negotiators being part of it. And the only thing they did, as far as I understand, according to Biden, was tell the Israelis, take this deal, you're not going to get a better deal.
But Biden, like me, doesn't know what day it is.
Well, Biden was actually not in the negotiations either. It was the guy with the Lincoln, Blinken, and Nod. The three of them.
Is he part of the Winnie the Pooh cast? Blinken.
You have a different story. Lincoln, Blinken, and Nod and Lincoln. They were one story, and Pooh was another.
Are you guys going to the inauguration of King Shitler?
Yeah, totally.
You going? You're gonna risk it through all the anthrax?
Ron, you're muted.
Yeah, I love traffic. That's why I'm gonna go, because driving in DC already is just so easy and it's beautiful to get around.
See, not only do I want to fight the traffic, but I want to be able to sit in a crowd where everybody else is standing, so I can see nothing.
Okay, here's the problem. The two of you are having trouble getting out of traffic. How do you think Steve Winfield felt?
Who?
Who the fuck is that?
He was in Traffic, the band. Oh my God, I have ignorant new music people. Oh my God, I can't believe it.
I didn't even know that was a band. What?
Yeah, not a great band. That's why no one was like, "Yeah, I know."
Yeah, what album?
And that's why Steve Winwood had to get out of Traffic.
But you said Winfield. That's what got us.
Yeah.
Oh, Winwood. Steve Winwood.
Oh my God! All right, show's over, everybody. We tried. Turn on your radio.
Dave Winfield, the Yankees. Dave,
who? Winwood?
Winwood, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you're blaming the audience for not getting the joke when you fucked up the name.
What name?
Dave Winfield. Dave Winfield.
Yeah, Dave Winfield. He was in
Yeah.
Traffic too, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Pittsburgh, though. Pittsburgh
But
traffic.
Traffic won't be the worst part of it. It'll be the anthrax and the nuclear bombs and the cold temperatures that will be the worst part of it. I mean, if you traffic is kind of a small potatoes, as Chaim Roth would say.
You know, the worst part is I really do know I actually know who Steve Winwood is, and I fucked that up.
Now, DC in general is miserable to get around just on a normal day.
Yeah.
And so throw that on top of it. Go fuck yourself. Why would anyone want to go to that?
That's why I stopped doing open mics in DC, because even though technically it's within the 90-minute to 2-hour range I would drive to do a good mic, with traffic it's like a 3-hour drive down and a 2-hour drive back, even though it should only be 90 minutes.
Yeah, Northern Virginia, that area, go fuck yourself. It's horrible.
Looks like Christopher Robbins is late.
Do you guys hear the news playing?
Huh?
No, Steven. Did you adjust your meds today?
Dude, I'm telling you, I don't know what's going on. I hear the
Now,
news.
are you hearing it in both? Wait a minute, you're not wearing earbuds. I was going to ask you if you were hearing it in both ears, because like as if it was coming in one track but not the other. Let's see.
I am indeed hearing it in both ears.
Are you hearing it with both brains?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't hear it at all.
You don't get napping. You really need to nap. I don't know if you paid attention yesterday, but naps are important.
When I seen Chris Robinson on there, I thought at first it was the lead singer of the Black Crowes. Yeah.
Well, he's a black guy. That's close enough.
Whoa.
What?
I don't know.
No, it wasn't like an Amos and Andy joke, was it?
No, dude, I don't know. I was given the N-word card last night at the mic, and I still didn't use it. I pussed out.
Did you put it in your pocket to use for later?
No, I threw it away because I'm never going to use it. Well, my head was molested by multiple black people at the club, and after the third black person kissed my head, I was
Wait a minute.
I was like, do I get to say? I was like, do I get to say the N-word now? They were like, absolutely, and I was like, oh, never mind.
Wait a second. There were more than 3 black people at one time in Indiana?
I don't know what you know about Indiana, dude, but it's not white.
Well, or Indianapolis, I know is like not white because of the football and basketball, but I didn't know about the rest of the state.
Anywhere that there's a Walmart, you'll find more than white people.
I think there's a Walmart within 2 miles of everywhere.
Just about, yes, but here's the thing though: in the towns where there's not a Walmart within like a 45-minute to an hour drive, it's a sundown town. You cannot go there. If you're anything but white, you cannot go.
I think the goal is to have a Walmart for every individual, right?
It feels like that, yeah.
I thought it was one Walmart per capita, but if they're going per individual, then they're really ambitious.
Oh, do we sell capitas in minddogtv.com?
Ron, you muted again.
He's not muted.
No, he was. He was moving his mouth, and his mic was muted, and the sound was coming out.
Telling me he was muted.
No, I was kind of yelling at my son as well.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of both at that time. Because I'm out in the kitchen, and my son's room is downstairs, and his fucking he has so many snoozes on that fucking on his alarm, so I just fucking yell at him. I was like, shut the fuck up and get up.
Yeah, get up already.
Right. Good stuff. I'm really disappointed because we had a stand-up comic booked for the first time in God knows how long, and he's not here.
This is the second stand-up comic to stand us up in a couple days.
I think the other guy was kind of like a sit-down comic, sitcom or something.
No, you silly bitch. That's me. No.
Well, hey, I know what we can discuss.
Or Stephen the Pooh Eater.
Oh, brother.
He's here. He's here. Our guest is here.
Something I heard the lady's voice say something.
Really? Why can't I even get down?
I didn't hear it. I didn't hear it that time.
All the way at the bottom. Okay, now I can read his intro. I'm completely.
Speaking of bottoms, Matt.
I think the proper term is power bottom. Thank you. Now,
power wash bottom.
Before I bring in Chris Robinson,
he is an honor.
How about it? I'm just wondering what are the moves? What are the techniques that distinguish you from a normal bottom to a power bottom? Is there like a certain?
I think it's the overall performance. It's the one being in control. It's the one making the moves. It's the one
that would be me
calling the shots. But you're still the one taking the dick in the ass. So it's it's neither good.
I have a bad gag reflex. Even when the doctor puts the little stick in your mouth, I puke on him.
Listen, I can't explain all the prostate exams at your dentist appointments, okay? But what I can tell you is that I would assume you would be a power bottom because you have that aura.
And also, they shouldn't use the same stick for your prostate exam as they do for your oral exam. That would cause a gag reflex as well.
Damn, this is probably part of the problem. Talk about that at a later date when I'm dead. I'm Tim Paul, and today's show, Chris Robinson is an internationally touring headlining comedian. He performs all over the country, from the Miami Improv to Comedy Cellar to the Hollywood Laugh Factory. His first stand-up album, the 60/40 Rules, produced by Comedy Dynamics, debuted in 2021, and he is here now. Let's say hello to Chris Robinson.
Hey, how's it going?
Good morning. How are you?
Morning.
You get a lot of
Pretty good,
Black Rose stuff because Chris Robinson, the lead singer of Black Rose, people
all the time. I am. It is going to take an extremely long time for me to be famous enough to where when you Google my name, I'm the actual person that comes up.
Yeah. So you know what? I thought of my thought was Christopher Robin from
Winnie the Pooh. Yes.
Yeah. That's a terrible joke, but do you get that often enough? Often.
I get it enough to where I make fun of it in my act because every single day, at least like 2-3 people's like, oh, Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah. Now, up on up above you there is G.D. Fenderson. He's very intimidated when we have black guys around who are funnier than him.
That's true, but it shouldn't be a problem. Go ahead.
So try not to be funny, even though we booked you on here to have you be funny, but try not to be funny because it hurts his feelings. It makes him very insecure.
Matt keeps telling that same line. I have no feelings. My first wife got him in a divorce, so it's no big deal.
Are you on the road all the time? Are you just constantly touring? Is that your life?
No, not quite yet. So I do. So I'm actually at my job right now. I'm in our little podcast studio. So I sell health insurance, and I tour pretty much every weekend though.
I think
so I'm not at the point where.
Hold on. The health insurance thing, Luigi. It's a.
Oh yeah. No, he's. I got texts from friends. They were like, hey, "You better start approving people's stuff." Like the day that happened.
You're not a CEO, so I don't think you have to. Right? I mean, I'm assuming you're not a CEO. Why would you go from making millions of dollars to stand-up comedy, where you can actually make millions of dollars if you're one of 3 people?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. But the people that are doing it are doing incredible. Like I saw this stat this past year. Nate Bargatze.
Yeah.
His tour did like I think something like $50 million this year.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
But wasn't he the Ron? Wasn't he the top earner of the year on your list a couple of weeks ago?
Yep.
Now
he beat you out by like $20.
He did it the right way, though. The right way.
87 million, I believe it was.
Yeah, it's some crazy number.
He started as a barker. You know what a barker is, Stephen?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Because I don't know of Indiana. I know you don't have much there. You have corn, and
the only place to really be barking is Indianapolis, and that's yeah.
Yeah. So but came up the slow and steady way, and unfortunately, nobody tells. Well, maybe they do, and people just ignore it. Nobody tells young, starting out comedians that it's gonna take you 20 years before you actually feel like you're actually can support yourself. It's gonna take a long, long time, and they all expect that in very short term. Now, obviously, if you're selling healthcare, you're at the point where you're still not, even though you're performing in all these places, not able to support yourself with just the comedy. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, for sure. I made the mistake of getting married and buying a house before I started in comedy. So there's a certain level that I have to maintain, or I'm out in the street.
Yep. I did the same thing. Which had to do with just my performance schedule for this year. Having to prioritize the family and the household, and
And that's when your wife beat you and kicked you out, and you had to start over again, right?
Yeah.
Now, I made the same mistake, but my wife did not know until long after we were divorced that I blame her for my lack of success. But it does. You can't, if you're going to make it in show business, right? You have to kind of be laser focused on that and not be like a normal person and be in a relationship and all that stuff. You have to start as a young person really just thinking about it. Got to be totally selfish. My career comes first, and that's it. And a lot of us don't, and it does end up being the biggest hurdle to success when you're young. If you want normalcy in your life, you're probably going down the wrong path.
I think my wife's always paranoid because she knows that if she left me, I would immediately sell everything, buy a van, and be on the road touring, and might end up happier. So she's like, no, you're not going anywhere.
I think my wife's in a very similar boat, man. Yeah, because I even told her, I was like, listen, if this doesn't work, you can keep everything. I'm taking our car and I'm gone. Like that's all. That's it.
Totally. Yeah. Now we're hurting Ron's feelings. I know the one feeling he has left. We're hurting his feelings. Guy who prides himself on being married to the same one woman, his entire life for like 100 years now. I don't know.
It's so cute. I love it.
Yeah, I know. I don't know if there's resentment there for him not being up on the Nate Bugatti scale of dollars for that, but I certainly would if I were in that position. Be resentful.
I do understand that some people, they get a little frustrated because I've been married so long. It's just because they know that they're going to die alone. So that's
we're all going to die alone. Even married couples, they die alone. I mean, Jimmy Carter died alone. He was married for what?
I know, and that's one of the tags on the joke. It's like we all die alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if you're in a plane crash, you die with others, but you're got to be a pilot.
You might die with everyone else, but your experience of dying is still yours alone, man.
Yeah.
How many of us have actually died? Show of hands.
That's a fair point. I've died on stage.
Yeah, but how many
people... Were you alone? You just felt alone when you died on stage. There were others watching it.
Or when someone is dying, how many people walked in and say, "Hey, let me get that death for you"?
Yeah,
nobody.
Ron, that happens in restaurants with checks as well. So you can't. It's like, let me get that check for you. It doesn't happen that often.
My near-death experience, that was kind of how it was. They gave me meds. They came back in 10 minutes later. They said, "Here, we brought you more meds." I was like, "I just got some." They're like, "Yeah, but we're about to do a procedure. You're going to need them." They gave me the meds, walked out, and like 2 minutes later, I was OD'd, and they had to. I was gone for like 2 minutes. It was horrible.
Then 2 hours later, I woke up and I was bent over the bed and my pants were down.
No, even worse. I woke up with
said you weren't supposed to be awake yet.
There was somebody who needed a kidney while you were laying in the hospital bed, and they threw a bunch of meds at him to try and get his kidney.
Dude, something, man. All for nothing.
Yeah. Say nothing. You probably have a good joke out of it somewhere, right?
No. It just sucks.
Then that's on you. That's on you.
I know.
That's on you. If you go through that and you don't come out with a good joke, then that's on you.
Chris, 60-40 Rules, produced by Comedy Dynamics. When you say produced, did you have to pitch that to them? And say you pick up all the costs and all that stuff? Because there are a lot of people putting out specials that they basically hire a camera crew, they do the editing and put it out. And then like give it to somebody to distribute. When Comedy Dynamics produced this, did they pick up the?
Yeah, so I technically signed a record deal, so they paid for the production and the recording and everything on the front end, and then they make the money back on the back end, and then once it's recouped, then I start getting paid for it.
So you're never going to see a dime then.
Yeah,
that's
definitely a record deal.
Kind of like the publishing stuff, right? It's like the companies will always want to take the lion's share of the profits if they're putting up the money for it. So,
but I think honestly, I think I got really lucky because what happened was, so I live down in Florida, and Comedy Dynamics is out in Burbank, California. And what happened was, it was during the pandemic. And I think what happened is, during the pandemic, all of the comics in New York, LA, Chicago, all the bigger, cities in the country were all on lockdown.
Yeah.
When I reached out to them, I'm like, "Hey, I'm a Florida comic." And they must have been like, "Oh, this guy's in Florida. He can actually record something right now because Florida is actually open."
Right.
And they were like, "All right, let's throw this guy an album." so we can actually get some work done in the middle of the pandemic because
You
none of the
actually
other
have
comics were working.
dying actually in the audience, just dropping
Yeah.
dead from COVID. That would probably be good marketing.
In Florida, it was insane. There was an open mic in my town that I think during the entire pandemic they missed 4 weekends and then just went right back. I mean, we were in the middle of the pandemic doing shows the entire time down here.
Yeah,
I did some shows in
Miami.
Georgia during the pandemic, and
Yeah.
something Georgia was open.
Georgia,
Yep.
Yeah,
Georgia was wide open. I mean, I don't remember that.
Because the loophole was it was a pizza shop, and they were allowed to open because we just sell carry out food. So the rule was if the cops or anything ever came in, everyone was supposed to pretend like we were just waiting on our pizzas.
Yeah. In New York, we were doing parking lot shows in front of restaurants. So as long as it was outdoors, it was okay. But we were stretching it a little bit because we started in March. In March, it's still, even though it's springtime, it still feels like winter in New York. And we were doing shows but it was freezing, and people were trying to like sitting in their cars and honking horns at us and stuff.
No, I was in actual clubs in Georgia. They just
that's crazy.
Didn't give a fuck.
Yeah, we in Indiana we were doing pop-up shows like in parking garages and anywhere we could set up a PA system and keep people kind of apart. So if the cops did show up, we didn't get in too much trouble, but it was rough.
Yeah, I produced shows in parks at that time. Then, like around, then I found a place in Lancaster that was we called the rec room, and they allowed us to have a mic there. And in the beginning, people were wearing their masks and sort of sitting apart, but that's what we did.
Yeah. Did you catch any of those like drive-in theater type shows? People were doing people in their cars coming out. The comic would be on stage, and the audience would all be in separate cars. Did you see any of that stuff that was going on during the early part of the pandemic? It was kind of, I don't know.
I saw some of it, but again, we were in Florida. They were doing gangster stuff. Like in Florida, I got the COVID vaccine from doing shows in the Villages during the pandemic. So I don't know if you know, the Village is the famous STD capital of the country.
Yeah.
And in the middle of the pandemic, I was doing a show in the Villages, and I'm thinking it's the pandemic, so everybody's going to be spread out. It's going to be whatever. We get there, it's a 55 plus like swingers meetup.
Oh,
yeah.
And it is standing room only. I mean, people are standing shoulder to shoulder. And the very next day, I went and got the vaccine. I was like, "Oh, these old people are going to kill me. Like, if I don't get the vaccine, I'm going to die out here." Because they did not give a shit. Like they were partying.
I had I remember like when you could around here when like you could take your mask off finally and be all have it off indoors and things like that. And all these people were like, "Oh, masks don't help." As soon as that happened, the show that I was at, some guy comes up to talk to me, and he's like drinking it, and I can feel a piece of his spittle hit my cheek, and I'm like, that's why you fucking wear a mask, because.
I know the first time I got COVID I was performing, and the room was full of first responders. So I just knew that these guys are going to be safe and careful. And I took my mask off, and I was walking into the crowd, working the crowd, worked literally in the crowd with them. And when I got home, I said, I think I'm going to die, because I was so stupid. Because these first responders, I don't think any of them were vaccinated at all. And that was it. I thought I was going to die, but it was arrogance. I thought because they were first responders, they would take care of themselves. What the fuck was that?
Dude, my first time I got it, I had the weekend off. My now wife, who I just met, was spending the weekend. My boss called, said, "Hey, I tested positive for COVID. You and I just worked together for 2 days." She goes, "Just take the next week off." I was like, "All right." And we ended up having to like quarantine together for 2 weeks. It was awesome.
And you still wound up getting married. That's a strong relationship.
I know.
So you've been married like 5 years, but you have 13-year-old kids and stuff, teenage kids.
No, my 13-year-old's from my first marriage.
Oh, and came with you rather than stay with the wrestling Hulk Hogan wife that you had.
No, she's with her mom. I get her on the weekends.
Oh,
yeah.
How bad are you that abusive woman got the custody of the child? That's terrible. How bad of a human being are you, Steven?
Really?
Because we know how bad your first wife was, and she got the kid.
Because I couldn't prove any of it, so.
She was abusive and smart. She like beat you with a cotton coat hanger and stuff like that.
This is called abusing Steven some more. He's already traumatized by being beaten by a woman for 30 years of his life.
Did you put an orange in a sock like
like prison?
Yeah, something along those lines. Good stuff.
Have you
call him Citrus Steve?
Have you figured out the business of comedy? Because I'm really curious about it. It's different than the music world. Booking agents do exist. I know they do, and especially in Florida, like the Orlando area, I know several people that are heavily invested in booking comedians. But it doesn't seem like comedians know how to pitch to a booking agent or get signed by one. So everybody seems to have to be doing their own bookings. Have you figured any of this stuff out?
Yeah. So this past like 2-year run, I've been talking to. So I do a podcast as well about comedy, and I've been working with and interviewing like comics that have been doing like 20 years. So I've been taking a lot of the little things that I learned from them. So I mean, this past year I got my website set up. Set up a really, I think, was a pretty decent website, and then have started to reach out to booking agents and stuff. But down here, it's not a normal thing to have an agent. It's not like in New York or in LA where it's just understood that people have agents and they're working on other things. The next step is, I think, taking acting classes because people want you to be versatile, to be able to do commercials and spots in movies if they become available. Again, that kind of thing's not popular down here, but I'm doing it because I mean that's the business. You know?
Yeah. Are you part of something like all casting? Because I get constant pitches to audition for. Yesterday, I got a Royal Caribbean commercial. They're interested in you. Like, they saw my little profile on your website. But now you got to pay $300 to go audition for them. Are you part of any of that kind of predatory nonsense?
No.
Matt, once you're listening, he sells insurance.
What?
He sells insurance. Of course, he's part of that predatory.
Oh yeah.
But
you're right. Really me.
What's interesting down here is we've got a really unique, like I think Florida is one of the most slept on places to be a comic because people forget there's not that many states that have multiple major cities.
Right.
So I mean, down here we have Miami, Tampa, Jacksonville, and Orlando all in the same state. Then we have the cruise ships that are here. Like if you want to make some money, they're tough to get into, but we have Port Canaveral and Miami, two of the biggest cruise ship ports in the country.
Yeah.
And the big thing that I'm learning where you can make some money is 55 plus communities.
Right.
Yeah.
There are a ton of 55 plus communities all over Florida, and they have big budgets.
Yeah. And they're mandated by the state to bring in entertainment for those 55 plus people because they just think that we don't want them leaving.
I started comedy in Florida, and when we moved back to Maryland,
Wait, there was no comedy in Florida until you started it?
Right, there was none.
You started comedy in Florida. I invented standing in line.
Well, I mean, he kind of looks like Black Jesus, so I mean, it makes sense that he would be the first.
Yeah, so okay, let me correct that for the technically ignorant. I began my comedy career in Florida, in the Sarasota area, Venice actually, and so and I was it's like you said, except for I think, but to be on a cruise ship though, don't you need agents? Because that's one of the things. That's one of my setbacks is that.
Yeah, that's one. That's one
Yeah.
of the things for the cruise ships. And the cruise ships, they want you to have essentially almost 2 hours of material.
Yeah.
Because they want you to do it's like 2.5 hours dirty and then 2.5 hours clean, and they want them to be separate half hours.
Right, because I was on a Norwegian. Was that a Norwegian cruise? Yeah, Norwegian. I was doing a Norwegian cruise, and I need an agent to go back and get a paid gig. I did some free stuff there.
That is so weird that you're doing a Norwegian cruise in the Pacific Ocean, the Pacific side, going to Alaska, because Norwegian is near. What you would think in the happened to Steven. He fell out of his chair.
He fell out of his chair.
My bad.
But here's the deal. I've been working with some agents based in Orlando, and there's quite a few of them. Entertainment, booking agents. They work with comics, but they want to and you mentioned your site. It's in the description. Chris Robinson, which is 2, but with the little eyes.
Yeah, because I'm the second, so it's just the easiest way.
But they want to control everything about your website and your presentation, and they have a real, at least the ones that I'm dealing with now, but they get big money for the people that we've worked with, I've worked with them to help them build the website, but they want to dictate every aspect of it. But they do get work, and it's good pay, very good paying work compared to what people are getting for booking themselves. I think if you go to a club and they know that you are booking yourself, they know right away they can rape you. It's like, this guy comes with lube in hand. Without
crypto.
Yeah. But if you have an agent, they are more likely to cough up some serious money, and or they take you seriously enough. So they do have this whole pitch opportunity. I don't know what is stopping most comedians from being able to create associations with these agencies, because they only make their money by booking people. It's not like they're not looking for new talent to book. That's how they make their money.
It's laziness. It's laziness, really, because comics typically tend to be bad promoters for themselves. A lot of people don't have the wherewithal to do every aspect of. You got to write, you got to perform, you got to be the operations part, you got to be sales, you got to be marketing, you got to do all of that. And to sit there, and I could see how some people get soul crushed by it because, I'm sure, Chris, you've experienced this when you just send out lots of emails and you get no responses back, or maybe you get one, maybe 2.
You have to kill you have to kill that thing, and you have to kill hope. You just send them.
That's very good. Yes.
Don't be happy about it. Just send the emails.
What I do
not just kill it. You got to hold it down and strangle it.
Like they don't. I hear what you're saying about emails. You could send out millions of them. Like I don't even get a no. Like, but if you can get through to a phone call and talk to somebody there, your odds of at least opening the door are a lot better. It's not fun. Phone.
I agree with you on that, Matt. But that too can be soul crushing because a lot of times you'll call and all you get is voicemails, and you leave messages, and it's like no one will ever get back to you.
Yeah. So it's difficult. I get it, but it seems to me and I'm just assuming that like these Nate Bargatze, Dave Chappelle guys have long ago established themselves with somebody who's doing that work for them, and that that's the thing. How do you define making it? I would say that's how you define making it. When you're no longer having to do that part of and you can just concentrate on being funny and developing new material. That to me is how I would define making it. Do you are you a strategy guy? Are you planning out your career like in advance, or you take it as
for sure. Yeah. I mean, my thing now in terms of making money, I'm learning that, again, this is a Florida thing. I live in Melbourne, Florida, so it's like a beach town. The other thing I've discovered, and comics around down here have discovered, that there's so many like restaurants. Oh, hold on one second.
Yeah. Restaurants. Yeah. Restaurants are a weird place because people are like I've always said this in music, you can be background music. It's really difficult to be background comedy. They're not there they're not there to listen to you, and you have to be listening with comedy. With music, you can just kind of absorb it. With comedy, if you're not listening, it's like, oh, it's torture, man. I would not. I don't love those restaurant gigs for comedians.
Do this. I actually have to log off real quick because I got something going on at my office. If that's all right. I'm sorry about that.
Not a problem.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys.
And he did that real quick. That was quick.
Yeah, real quick. Chris Robinson, 2. Aye, senor. Aye, captain.
Aye, Capitan.
What city did he say he was in?
Melbourne.
Yeah, Melbourne.
Yeah, somebody mentioned Melbourne the other day, and I was thinking Australia. Like,
well, that's also in Australia, but yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, there's Melbourne. Then just north of there is Stillborn, Florida, too. So.
Which is half the state, it seems like.
I think
if they're lucky, there will be.
But Orlando, at least since the time that I went to high school in that area, has really become kind of an entertainment mecca. I mean, when I was back in the old days of the Old West, when me and Wyatt Earp went out to they were just open in Disney World, so there was no like SeaWorld and all these kind of extra places like now, Universal and all that kind of stuff down there. Now it's an entertainment mecca, so it just makes sense that if you have a place like that, there's got to be bookers like really, hungry for new talent down there in an area like that. It's just I know it's a bitch to approach them, but it just makes sense to put a lot of more effort in that than like calling Minucci's. Eating Minucci's, by the way.
Hey! Don't knock Minucci's. They have the third.
You go to Minucci's for the clams, the clam chowder or whatever, but calling them for bookings is a different story. Like, it's easy to call them for reservations. I want to make reservations for me and Steven. Fuck you two guys.
Well, the thing about Minucci's, and I learned this before I got to go there. If you perform there as an entertainer and you die, you actually wind up in the meal. You're part of the next meal. If you die there, that's it.
I'll have the GD chowder.
Those were just rumors too.
Also, those are rumors. I'm sorry.
I'll have the Ron Kane cum brulee.
Actually, too, they don't even take reservations when you show up, and if it's full, the way they get to choose the next table, they just someone comes out, throws a bunch of forks on the floor, and say, "All right, fight it out for the table."
Wow. Fork battle.
That sounds fun. I'm down.
I think it was. Isn't that a game? Fork night. Isn't that a
fork night?
I have something we could do, Matt, if you guys would be open to it. Because I'm working on my next iteration of the bucket show, and I still have my old bucket show where I didn't get through a lot of the stuff. So we could play a little game. I could give you guys 4 categories to choose from. Then each person comes up with their best quip for that video. And we'll just rate it that way. It's nothing. It'll be imperfect, but it could be fun.
All right. I'm open. My ass is open.
We'll give it a shot.
Why does that have to be open? Close it up.
No, I'm gaping.
Oh my god!
Yeah, but you're gaping, and the rest of us are vaping, and that's
very gaping.
Matt must be bored online recently because he's learning a lot of new words.
He's reading y'all's text too often. He's reading your text when he should be sleeping.
I love sex, food. I can't see any of those.
Pod-assing and beyond perversion.
Yes. So we'll let Matt go first. Matt, you choose a category: love or sex, or beyond perversion, or food, or pod-assing.
I'm not sure what pod-assing is, but I think
I'll tell you what podasking is just clips from various podcasts throughout the internet.
That's the one I want.
Okay.
I'm podcast guy.
So let's see, what is this guy doing?
What is he doing? He's having a donut, a hair donut. No, a hair
nut.
Hair nut. Yeah, that's what he's doing. He's nutting on a hairy nut. He's I don't know. I'm lost. What are you doing? No, I'm not doing that work. But no, what is he doing? He's smoking a donut. That's what he's doing. Right? Did I win?
Yeah, you won. I think. Oh no.
Wait, is there a video playing right now? No.
There's no video.
Just a picture. Okay, I was making sure I was seeing the right thing.
Are you guys confused? You're supposed to listen to it, Matt. This
There's no
game is too
sound.
complicated.
I don't hear anything.
There's no sound.
There's no sound.
Oh, well, then that's fucking this. This is a shitty system. Go fuck yourself, Streamlabs.
By the way, we are.
I know we're all just sitting here looking at this picture, trying to figure out what he's
picture
doing.
of a rabbit holding a donut.
Yeah, that's all. What am I listening to? You know what? You're right, though. Fuck this system. But we are.
Yeah, because that was perfect on my end. So who the fuck knows?
Dude, I didn't hear the news until 10 minutes after it played, and then in the morning I don't hear the intro most of the time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think "fuck this system" is the correct way to. ED, do you and Mon, do you hear the intro when it plays? Well, wake up, America, coffee, blah blah blah. Come be out of racist motherfuckers, or whatever it says.
Yeah,
I think so.
I've heard it.
Yeah.
There's days I've heard it, but more often than not, it's just silent. And I just
now, like the guest that we had just now, Chris Robinson. Was he moving? Because I looked to me like it was a still photograph.
It was a still photo for me too.
Oh, okay. All right, good. Because I never know with this system.
I just thought he was good at talking like this.
Well, I was nervous because usually before it kicks me out and kicks everyone out, everyone freezes first. And I was like, oh shit, he's freezing. Is everyone else gonna happen now?
No, I could always talk like this for the rest of the show, and then nobody would know that.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
That's right, because I don't really move much in life. So.
Matt, when he's 90.
You know Matt Walsh. This is.
Oh God, what happened now? Fuck.
Yeah, this is curious.
Is this the son that didn't get kidnapped from that show? Adam Walsh's brother.
No, that's Evan Walsh or something, right?
I don't know.
No, Matt Walsh is the guy who Am I Racist? That movie. He's a
FEMA
guy, bearded guy in the woods with the flannel shirts. I'm a lumberjack and I'm so gay kind of guy. On the Ben Shapiro network, really ultra conservative dick face. Anyway, he had a thing this morning where he's talking about this is an odd thing for him to say. He's saying on OnlyFans now, women have become dealers, drug dealers, and he said it's not the cartels, it's these women on OnlyFans dealing drugs, and that's who we should be blaming for. He said blame, but he didn't say for what. But I'm guessing he meant the drug addiction, drug abuse, whatever. But it's like, dude. Why are you on OnlyFans? You're like Mr. Ultra Conservative. Are you confessing that because he's married and stuff? Like, what are you doing following women on OnlyFans and paying to watch them deal drugs? It sounds like you don't realize that you're confessing. Has your wife read this tweet?
He's just repressed, it sounds like. It's like when you go down south in Florida and Georgia, there are porn shops like every other block.
Oh yeah, they're plentiful.
So much porn.
Yeah, but are they also like say out there telling people porn is bad? Porn is like the
oh yeah, dude, it's the Bible Belt. They preach. Their churches are nothing but judgment and rejection and bullshit, and they make you feel bad about everything in life. But then they also, as soon as you walk out the door, there's 3 porn shops, there's a strip club. It's crazy.
You telling me that Dr. Reverend Jelly Roll should have opened his church down there instead of up here in Carroll County?
Yeah, well, because you could go down there and call it the Church of Ill Repute, and
do you think
get away with anything?
Do you think in like Florida or the southern states, like when a dad finds his kid with a bunch of porn, he's like, all right, you're going to sit here and masturbate to each one of these movies while I watch?
Oh my God.
I would think he'd say, first of all, stop watching movies of your sister.
What is it? Oh, we put the man in Minucci's. I didn't even think about that. But Missouri, the show me state, has they have like porn shops next to churches. I think they have the most churches and the most porn shops in America per capita. At least that's the way it used to be in like the 80s and 90s. But they have them right next to each other, so you can like, go on to like a glory hole, jack off, and then run next door quickly and ask for forgiveness.
Sure, why not?
And then back to the glory hole, right?
Yeah.
It would seem good for business, right? Good for business on both ends. And when I say both ends, never mind. But I mean, the churches are feeding because you come out. Oh yeah, I feel cleansed now. Yeah, a little jerking off in the whatever glory hole wouldn't hurt now. And then you come out and you go all guilt-ridden, and then you go back into church, and you never leave the neighborhood. You just go from one to the other until you're out of money.
Well, I did hear something recently that the Jehovah's Witnesses now allow oral sex and doggy style.
Oh,
but that's only with the elders. That's not the lay people. The lay people don't get to do that. Just the elders.
To clarify, you mean at home, not when like they knock on your door.
No, when they knock on the door.
Who knows? I mean, hey, it's 2025. We can't.
That might get me to that. You sent a couple of hot missionaries over to the house for doggy style. I might come visit your church.
Yeah, come on in. That's what usually you say go. I slam the door and say go away. But if that's the case, come on in. I got coffee on.
Now, I've known quite a few Jehovah's Witnesses. I'm not surprised that there's like kink underneath of it.
Me neither.
But if you had said the Mormon church, because they send out males, 2 males at a time, then I'd be impressed.
The Mormon church is, it's rough, man.
We turn to our daily man on man sex correspondent, Stephen Ortiz, to explain how it works. Go ahead, Stephen. It's all you got.
The Mormons, man, they're just.
Hey, see, that's what happens when you take on Big Latter-day Saint. They do not like it.
Now he ran away without destroying the show that time, so maybe just his battery died.
Well, I think he got interrupted by the Big Latter-day Saint, because Big Mormon do not like it when you talk about their church.
I did not know before when Ron was talking about when we were finally able to take off the mask. I was like, Stephen calls it a hood, but whatever. So I thought maybe he was a little touchy about that. But now I didn't know he was all religious on us. Did he get all religious on us?
Hi, there we go. What the fuck?
She's still talking. She's still announcing that you just showed up. Minutes after you've already showed up. Well, seconds, but it feels like minutes because we have to look at you.
System is ass.
You slide me over without even asking?
I didn't touch it.
No, not you. Stephen did it.
I did. Yes.
Without even asking. It's like you're the kind of guy who will ass rape somebody without even a drop of lube.
No. Ouch.
He uses a drop. He does use a drop of lube, but just a drop.
No, I'm not a raper. I'm gay for consent, man.
You're a cheap.
I'm gay for consent.
I would think a friendly gesture would be, here, you take the lube and use as much as you need.
Yeah, I think so.
That's if you have an abundance of it. But if you're down to your last bottle and you don't know when you're going to get another bottle,
Diddy, you know where you're going to get another bottle. You just call your friend Diddy. What's happening with Diddy? Do we know? Is that just like on hold forever? I mean, justice delayed.
Ron is our sex offender celebrity correspondent.
Yeah, it's just gonna take months because they're still gathering shit for evidence, and it's gonna be months. You'll probably see something late spring or summer with him.
I guess we don't have a right to a speedy trial. All right.
Hey, what are we? I got a question. What are we doing next week? Since we're all coming into town, are we going to record an episode on Friday before the show?
I don't know.
I thought the plan was for us to actually do the show from the Giggle Room, from the place where Tony does his show that Friday morning. Yeah. That's
on
what I
Friday.
thought.
Hold on a second. Let me say something. I think, yeah, you know what? We do have a comedian scheduled for the morning, but I could bump him. It's Tin Bubba Ellison. He's been on the show before. I could just bump his ass. And when I say bump his ass, I will give him a drop a little. But
very nice of you.
Well, because I know how to be a friend, Steven, not like you, just raw dog style and just.
I don't just raw dog. That hurts. That hurts for both of us.
Dreads, which is what you're known for. Of course.
And we just have to let Tony Walker know that we're going to be in their studio, or do you have a key, Matt?
I shouldn't tell you. But I don't have a key, but we could get in, and I shouldn't tell you how. That's what I'm saying. Because if I tell you how, there'll be homeless people living in there.
There are homeless people living in there. I've seen them.
I just need to know where I can go park the car when I get into town so I can take a nap until we record.
Wait. Huh?
I just need to know.
I could be a barker for that show on that Friday, which is next Friday. I should go there early in the morning because there's I don't know if you, of course you don't know this. Governor's is hidden behind like a shopping mall.
Yeah.
And so I could go by that shopping mall and just bark all day long.
Hey, I'll be in town. We can do it together, man. I plan on being in town by like 4 or 5 a.m. So
you know what? You should,
I'm going to be there Monday for the party. So I was going to go do some hand out flyers in the parking lot.
Escapes you. This is how far your dementia has gotten. Like the what's that word where people get together and have fun?
Funeral.
Funeral.
You can't spell funeral without fun.
That's true.
And real fun.
All right. I heard Jesus talking about that the other night.
So are we going to do it then Friday afternoon, like 5-ish?
I thought we were
doing 5 or 6-ish would be. What time is the show? 8, right?
8 o'clock.
We could do an hour show, like from 6 to 7, and then give you guys time to like have butt sex before you go on.
That'll work. I'd be good with that.
So I don't understand, how does that work for a Friday morning show?
We could do a Friday morning show. Well, you guys are going to be traveling. I could do, but
I planned on being there by 9, so that because I thought we were going.
That's what I thought too. That's why I'm leaving Thursday afternoon to be in town.
Get up. You know what? My drive is longer than yours to get there, so I have to leave my house at 6:30 in the morning to get there.
Yeah, just do it Friday afternoon.
Yeah,
I thought that makes the most sense. I think
that makes more sense to me. I don't know if they have things. We need to talk to Tony Miller about this because
a
fish thing. What is that thing? Anyway, we should talk to Tony Miller about this and clue him in on, or at least consult with him on what the situation is over there. Let's play some news. How about some news? You excited for some news?
News. I can hear it.
House Speaker Mike Johnson announced his intention to raise the Capitol's flags, which are currently at half-staff in honor of former President Jimmy Carter, for the inauguration of President-elect Donald Trump, contradicting a White House order.
Following a GOP press briefing on Tuesday morning, Johnson nodded affirmatively when questioned about his decision. Later, he confirmed it via a post on X, writing, "On January 20th, the flags at the Capitol will fly at full staff to mark our nation's unity." Kyle Norris reporting.
Nawaf Salam, Lebanon's prime minister-designate, issued a call for unity and cooperation to save, reform, and rebuild the country.
Salam specifically extended his outreach to all, notably addressing Hezbollah, which has expressed anger over his nomination to head the new government. Now officially appointed by newly elected President Joseph Aoun, Salam emphasized the need to say enough and begin a new chapter. Benjamin Wright reporting.
The U.S. Navy has announced the construction of 4 new nuclear submarines to bolster its fleet, which is showing signs of age.
Today's submarine force is the most capable in history, both for the U.S. Navy and globally, stated Navy Secretary Carlos del Toro in a press release. It's an honor to unveil the names of these future attack submarines, which will safeguard our nation from beneath the ocean's surface. Jim Kender reporting.
This is the latest news headlines.
Now, when they name submarines, is it like when they name a ship, is it the USS something?
Capital One is being sued by a U.S. watchdog agency for allegedly deceiving customers about its high-interest savings accounts and cheating them out of more than $2 billion in potential interest earnings.
In a lawsuit filed Tuesday, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau accused Capital One of misleading consumers about its 360 savings accounts. The CFPB's complaint claims the company froze its advertised high interest rate at a low level for several years, even as national rates climbed. Jessica Oakley reporting.
Police in Utah have discovered human remains that they believe have been decomposing for an extended period near a public hiking trail.
According to a statement from the Washington City Police Department, the remains were found near the Bone Wash Trail, an Elephant Arch hiking area in Washington City, southern Utah, about 125 miles northwest of Las Vegas, Nevada. Kevin Sanders reporting.
Steve Bannon has been ordered to appear in court next week to explain why he changed legal representation so close to his trial, according to a ruling by a New York judge.
Bannon, a former senior advisor to President-elect Donald Trump, is set to face trial on February 25th over allegations of defrauding donors of the We Build the Wall campaign. After his previous attorneys sought to withdraw, Bannon retained Arthur Aidala as his new lawyer. Lawrence Keller reporting.
And that's the latest news headlines with Alan Edwards.
Previous attorney pulled out.
I'm curious about the decomposing bones.
Yeah.
I mean, don't all bodies decompose over a period of time?
It doesn't happen overnight, that's for sure. But it's by a walking trail. Who's asking me to leave site? I'm not asking to leave site. Shut up! What's going on here?
Telling you, man, the system just fucks with everything. It just does what it wants to do.
So it's next to a walking trail. Here's the thing: because bodies, when they start to decompose, smell awful. I mean, it's the worst smell you can imagine. And I have some experience with this, with having so many bodies chucked out in the back there. But how did it take a while to anybody to report this?
Maybe there's a breeze. Maybe it's downhill and the breeze is always going that way, so the odor never rises to the path. It just goes downhill.
Never.
I don't know. I haven't seen the site. I've never been there, and I have an alibi. I can prove it. I've never been there.
Yeah, I mean, you would think if this trail was getting enough traffic, somebody would smell it along the way and say, "Hey, it's hanky time. There's some, another corpse, another corpse rotten in the woods." How it takes so long to discover these things? Questions about this. Now, you're never going to catch the guy because all the evidence is rotten, right? And the animals are eating it. There's nothing left there to even.
That's why you should eat at Minucci's, because the smells coming from the kitchen are always questionable.
So you don't like Mr. Minucci? You and Mr. Minucci don't get along? Or is Minucci dead? Joe Minucci, our chief chef, or the proprietor of Minucci's?
No, I love Minucci's. That's why they're a sponsor of Showbiz.
Yeah.
And there could be some Minucci merch in the works, too.
Wow.
Uh-oh. Is this? Are you talking about the famed Minucci carryout baskets?
Yeah, it's going to be something.
That's what they call trail mix. That's what they serve there.
Because like KFC was known for their bucket for the longest time. You know, like you get those big cardboard buckets for the chicken, and then you could like save them and use them at parties to serve other food. Yeah.
You remembered the word party there. You just said serve them at parties. You didn't have that moment where you
Good cheap viewers.
What?
Cheap viewers.
Someone said something about cheap viewers.
I don't see nobody. What are you talking about? I don't see nothing.
Whoa.
That's a bad guess for not seeing the viewers. They're like, damn. Oh, you don't see the cheap viewers? Well, fuck you, Matt.
Come on, do better, bots. I mean, at least come at us with, do you want a better streaming site? Yes.
I know. Give us something tempting.
Yeah, give us something we can use.
We don't want more people to see us struggle here.
Oh, look, I got my eyes dilated yesterday. I had to see the eye doctor. And so when I got home, my eyes were like really in bad shape. And so I took an afternoon nap, a really long one, till my eyes felt better. So I was up real late last night, like late last night, early morning.
Oh man!
I found some more stuff from that site that bashes me in my material. I found some more stuff. They have spent hours bashing me, literally hours. They have hours of material bashing me.
It's so strange. Are you at least getting some more subscribers out of it?
I don't know, but here's the only thing that bothers me. I don't mind the bashing. What bothers me is they're watching a show from 2016, a show that I recorded in 2016, and they, for some reason, keep saying that my jokes are from 2020. That I'm doing. They think the show happened in 2021, and so they think that I'm telling all of these old, outdated, topical jokes from 2016 and 2021, and they're bashing me for that. They got me. Their timetable is like 5 years off, and so I get annoyed. They're like, he's not even the quarterback of that team anymore, or that person's dead. And I'm like, it's like they're stupid. Well, I don't want to say stupid, and now I'm
Yeah, I don't. That's so weird that they're spending that amount of time on you. Someone's got an axe to grind with you for some reason.
But it's not even an act.
What the hell are you talking about? Ooh. What amount of time on what?
Oh, we're talking about the show. There's a show that spent a good 2 hours bashing me, and it wouldn't be so bad except for their premise for which they're bashing me is wrong. They're watching a show from 2016.
Out them. Oh no, you don't want to out them. You don't want to give them any attention.
The show that they're critiquing is from 2016, and for some reason they've got it in their head that I recorded it in 2021. So they think that I'm telling 5-year-old jokes, or I'm telling jokes about things that were in the news 5 years previous. And the other thing is they just haven't caught on. And also, whenever the audience laughs, they ignore it, and they just still say that it was a bad joke, even though the audience was laughing.
Well,
okay, I take that back. You could have a bad joke and the audience laughs. So okay, I'll stand. I'll give them that. I will give them that. But,
man.
Are these people with a significant following, or is it just like Herb and Joe's podcast? Or who
it's the same one that bashed us earlier. It's the same people.
Oh, that hamburger dude.
So you're telling me these people literally have nothing else to do but pick on you?
Oh, they got other stuff to do. But there was one episode that said that because apparently they used to pick on Stuttering John a lot, I think, and now they're looking for someone.
Here's I know I said I was going to respond to him, and then I didn't. But he's got no life. This is a guy who never had any fucking real life in anything. This is all he's got is his little podcast thing. He's not like an entertainer or anything. Has no gigs or any of this. But he's got a hard on for the 90s radio people. In a really ridiculous way, because he wishes he was part of that world, and he's not. He never will be part of that world. Never will be even accepted by the Stuttering Johns or the Opies, who are now irrelevant. And it hurts him so much that he feels like he needs to kind of. But nobody.
Now I don't know that they're still back. The stuff I found is from 8 months ago, but the earliest stuff I found was from a year ago. So they spent 2 months bashing me.
Wow.
2 months. Well, no.
Did you go looking for it, or did somebody send you a link? I mean, how did you come across it? And when I say come across it, I don't mean like shoot a load across.
Not like you do your keyboard.
Oh damn. The answer is both. I found out about it from this show here because someone had mentioned it in the chat room. And
Ian likes to stir the shit, doesn't he?
And it wasn't Ian. I think it was a guy named Adam somebody.
Oh.
Adam something, yeah. He said no jabs, just love, and then ended up being a full shit show.
So it was an Adam guy, and so I wanted to find out what they had done, and so I did a search, and they had done like 4 shows on me. And then last night, because I couldn't sleep, I went back to watch one of the other shows, and it turns out they had done like 3 or 4 more. Spent like 2 months. I was like a topic of discussion for like 2 months for them at least.
Now he's freezing up. Oh,
no. I'm telling you, it's not just me. I'm telling you.
All right, Ron. One more time. You want
Steven?
to system sucks?
And Ron, we're all frozen.
Ron, you, this is an opportunity for you to say this system sucks.
Oh well, we all know that.
And people that are listening only, I apologize. Apparently, we're having technical difficulties because I'm the only one I can hear.
He's really
I'm the only one moving.
Everybody
else is frozen. Oh no, I'm frozen too now. Never mind.
Yeah, he's doing his best Chris Robinson imitation. It's uncanny.
I didn't hear anything. I just heard you say,
Well, yeah, when Chris was on the entire time, he was frozen on my end.
Yeah.
That's all I'm hearing.
It's kind of flattering that they would spend 2 months on you. I mean, that because it's better to be hated than to be ignored.
I'm still pissed. I'm still pissed that they only picked one shitty joke that they found on the internet of mine to pick on, and none of the good stuff.
No, I sent him a thank you note. I sent him a couple of thank you notes. I said thank you for discussing me. And I said, the only thing I ask is that when you talk about my material, that you put it in the right context. The show that you're critiquing happened in 2016, and you're treating it like it happened in 2021, which would make me look like a really bad comic talking about stuff that happened 5 years earlier without a reference.
They will do that. They picked the worst song. Like they picked the song that I put up there as a fucking joke to represent my music. It's not like it was something I was doing as a serious piece of music. It was something I put up there, kind of guy I am, because people were giving me shit about saying that phrase too much on Facebook. And so I just slapped together a really quick video of the kind of guy I am. And he went through my entire catalog to find the worst representation of my music to air and say this is his music. And then they were bashing that. So
did you put in your email said, God damn it, I am the Pringles guy, and I've always been the Pringles guy.
Oh my God, he does look like the Pringles guy. That's awesome.
Yeah, and you know what? The guy's name is Hamburger. Get some cheese. Nobody orders just a. Have you guys ever ordered a hamburger? You order a cheeseburger, don't you? Who orders a hamburger?
No, speaking of cheese,
get some cheese.
Now that you said cheeseburger, you've triggered something in me. When I was in college in North Carolina.
Our guest is here also, if you don't know.
I don't see him.
Yeah, he's at the bottom. He's in the queue.
Okay, there he is. Fucking
Ron, you haven't moved for a bit. Are you frozen, or did you throw up one of your images?
I see him moving.
It goes, like I said, when Chris was on here, he did not move at all.
Right.
He's completely frozen.
I think that was true for all of us. I mean, I saw him frozen, but I just, I figured he's just going to sit there still. Whatever. That's it. I thought that was his thing.
Well, I was in North Carolina. I ordered a cheeseburger, and they deep fried the beef patty. They deep fried it like you would French fries. But then they took the cheese and they dipped it in the same grease, like they just held it up and dipped it into the grease and threw it on the meat. With the,
Well,
I just wanted to share that.
Let's finish this because I want to tell you about my experience at a North Carolina ice cream place. We'll do that after we talk to our guest, he's in there, David Maida. It has recently published a memoir about his career as a U.S. election administrator, serving as a director of elections for the Minnesota Secretary of State from 2019 to 2024. Challenging time to lead the state through some serious questions about the state of our democracy. He's here now, ladies and gentlemen. Say hello to David Maida. David, welcome. Thank you for being here.
It's really great to be here.
Now, tell me about your memoir. A memoir, is it a life story or is it just about election questions and integrity of our elections?
Yeah, it encompasses more than just my career in elections. It covers my struggles with depression throughout my life. There's a chapter about my cats. It covers different aspects of my life, but the main focus, of course, is I think the most important topic that I cover is my career as an election official, because the profession that I chose for 25 years of my life really came under serious attack in 2020. I think people still have questions about the integrity of our election systems. So I really wanted to set the record straight that we can trust our elections in our country.
Can we? Because here's the deal. I know I trust the 2020 election results, but I do feel like Donald Trump has cheated at everything in his life. Everything he's ever been engaged in. We know for a fact he had help in 2020, whether you want to call that cheating or just getting help from outside sources, Russia. But then this last election, it feels like this was the most important contest of his life. It was the contest to not die in prison. How do we even assume that he's not at least trying to cheat? I think he had to be trying to cheat. Do you think that the most recent, the 2024 election, is beyond questioning whether it was legitimate outcome?
I do. I mean, kind of to separate what you just said from what I'm trying to say is the candidates try to do what they have to do to try to win for whatever reason, but the election administration piece, the many professionals that we have across this country running our elections, all the way from the director of elections of a state all the way down to the people that the poll workers that run the polls during election day. I totally 100% trust that they did their best, that they did their jobs right, that the election was legitimate from an election administration standpoint.
Now, David, it sounds like, but you were in Minnesota, and we are like several hundred election districts. You know, with different. I think was your boss Steve Simon at the time?
Yes, he's still our Secretary of State. Yes.
Okay, so Steve Simon may run like a great shop there, but you talk about Georgia, where their election officials, three of them they might as well have been Trump appointees. You know, they were making rules to try to tilt the election results, or at least the election counting, in Trump's favor. So not every district we can say that about.
Yeah.
I mean, you raise a great point. I think what people need to understand is, first of all 50 states run their own elections, and so it's done at a very local level. I know the director of elections from Georgia, his name is Blake Evans, and I have 100% faith in Blake in running an election fairly and with integrity. He's one of the most impressive election officials I've ever met.
So why was the issue with those three election officials in Georgia an issue then, if he's doing such a good job in curtailing that kind of thing, because they were writing rules and trying to pass rules like months and days and weeks before the election was taking place.
And again, I don't know the specifics of what happened in Georgia, but the three people you're referring to don't actually report to Blake. The Secretary of State's office is separate from, I think, I don't know what board that was.
Yeah, here's my well. There's so much for me, and I hear what you're saying about defending. It seems to me defending the integrity of people whose job it is to count the votes and make sure our elections. And it's hard for me to kind of point fingers at them. But Sherry Jacobus, who's a political pundit formerly of CNN, she's been on this program a couple of times. She put out a thing about the people stayed home. The people who voted for Biden in 2020 stayed home in this election. And I'm like, did they really? Because in my neighborhood, we had advanced voting. And I shared this with the guys on the program when I went to check out the lines. The lines were a mile long for 2 weeks in advance of election day. The lines were, I've never seen lines for people voting like this. And then we hear 15 million or 12 million, whatever the number was, stayed home. It's like, that doesn't jive with what I saw with my own two eyes. It was impossible to get near the voting stations because the lines were that long. So that doesn't ring true to me, and I'm not necessarily, trying to cast aspersions on the people who work there, but the end results don't seem to match what I saw with my own two eyes. I saw a lot of enthusiasm for Kamala Harris. It was just like off the charts, like Barack Obama enthusiasm, and then to find out people just stayed home because they were lazy. It doesn't add up. How do you reconcile? It doesn't add up. The reality doesn't match what we saw and heard with our own two eyes.
Yeah, I mean, that made national news, the early voting in Georgia. So I'm not trying to dispute that. There was a lot of enthusiasm I think on both sides. Without knowing the details on the actual mechanics of how the election was run, I can't speculate on what you just said. I will say that one of the things I always encourage people that have questions on elections in Minnesota is get involved. I mean, become a poll worker, see all the work that goes into running an election and all the little pieces that are in place to make sure that the number of people who sign in the morning matches the number of ballots in the ballot box. Get involved in elections, because that's if you don't have faith in elections, or if you have questions or are skeptical about the way elections are run in our country, get involved. I mean, it helps your community, and it actually does answer some of the questions like you just
agree.
Did.
I think I would like to do that in the next cycle if that's possible, and I'll probably look into that. But is there a way to verify that my vote got counted?
Yes, I shouldn't say every state. Most states I know of have something called a post-election audit, where they actually go and they compare the number of people that sign the polling place roster or electronic poll book, and balance that against the number of ballots counted. And they have to match, obviously, during the audit. And it actually, in Minnesota, we do hand counts. So we randomly select precincts, and we hand count the machine counted ballots to make sure that it counted everything correctly. So the number of people that signed the roster has to match the number of ballots, and that's the way you can be assured that your ballot did count.
Interesting. Do you have any thoughts on, and I'm not sure if you're even aware of this, because I haven't heard it covered in any kind of media other than like the Twitter sphere, but I know from Joe Rogan said that Dana White called him at 11 p.m. Saying it happened now. Steven, you did this. You did it. Hold on one more second. I've got to add one more person in here. Steven, I'm blaming on you. Now you're muted. You see that? You're muted.
No one froze that time even. It just, everyone popped out.
It's all your fault with your little dopey iPad.
Okay.
Where was I? Oh, so Joe Rogan said Dana White called him at 11 o'clock before all the polls were closed in the country, 11 o'clock Eastern time, and said, we got the results, and these are the numbers, and they matched the numbers. How is it? Got any ideas on how that's possible? He said Dana White said Elon Musk called him and told him what the numbers were. Any thoughts on that? How that could happen?
Oftentimes in Minnesota, and again, I can speak for Minnesota, I can't speak for Georgia or any other state, but oftentimes we have people at the polling places that are collecting the numbers as the poll workers are closing down the polls. And they actually print off a results tape for media or anyone else that wants to see the results at the polling place on election night. And because they're doing that as they're closing it down, oftentimes the media will have the results before our office actually does, because our office is relying on the counties to transfer the results to us when all the materials from all the different polling places across the state are brought back to the county. So there's a delay in the delivery of the actual materials from the polling place to the county to our office, whereas the media can be at the polling place and get results. I don't know if that happened in the situation you're talking about, but there are ways you can get the results before they're officially reported to our office.
I'm not sure. I don't remember exactly, but I think we were still on the air, and none of the media outlets that we were following had it. But Elon Musk seemed to have it, and that seems to be problematic. A guy who had a big stake in the election knew before any of the reporting media knew about it, and he knew accurately. According to, again, this is a fourth hand kind of. Joe Rogan said that Dana White told him that Elon Musk told him. It's kind of a controlled telephone tag type of thing. But according to them, the electoral count of all the states, again, California was far from even closing at the time. Was dead on accurate as far as the electoral count. And like, how would he know that unless he was somehow involved in manipulating it?
Yeah,
one of the things I do cover in my memoir is, and this goes beyond elections, I think in today's society, and I think it's pretty obvious, we can't rely on fourth-hand reports of something that might have occurred. We really have to get to the factual substance of it and verify what we're talking about. We don't want to pass on information just because of a fourth-hand account, I guess.
Right. I totally agree with you. But in this case, it seemed like the culprits, the people who would be suspected, were volunteering that they should be under suspicion. This wasn't like somebody pointing a finger. This was the people who actually were involved saying, we knew in advance. And that's troubling. Don't you agree that that's at least troubling and worth looking into?
I would totally agree. It's worth troubling and worth looking into. I mean, anything like that comes to our attention at the Secretary of State, we do investigate. I mean, we do check out any allegation of something going on with the election system that's not right. And I'm sure my counterparts across the country feel the same way.
Yes, but it seemed to me, because of what happened in 2020, the Democrats were really reluctant to even question it because they did not want to seem like they were playing the same game that the Republicans played in 2020. So they just keeping hands off and saying, I'm afraid to even suggest or even look into this. And what harm could there really be to say, let's investigate this, other than just public perception that, oh, look, it's both sides are equal in this election denial when you lose type of thing. Who cares what perception is? We want to get to the truth, no matter what people think about the people who are trying to get to the truth. That's what seemed really weird to me. It's like they didn't even want to bother suggesting that something's not adding up here, and we need to make sure. So I think the message that you're bringing here is that we should just accept everything.
That is absolutely not my message. To your point, and this is more of a personal opinion than a professional one, I think you are right that the Democrats were a little reluctant to raise any questions because of what happened in 2020, and we have to get back to accepting our election results.
Yeah.
But if something troubling like the allegation you're bringing up is brought to the attention of an election official, I would wholeheartedly say we have to investigate that. I mean, anything that brings questions of the integrity of an election, that's a very serious allegation that needs to be looked into. I mean, it might be just cursory look into, well, that doesn't make any sense, but it shouldn't just be ignored. It should be examined on some level.
Yeah, and I think the reluctance to even acknowledge that they're investigating it starts the people on social media getting rabid, because I follow a bunch of people who are just like, how could we just accept this? They are obviously on the left, and they were people who were very supportive of Harris. But how are we just not even looking into this? It feels like we're being ignored for the sake of trying to get back to normalcy. And that just riles people up more than gets them to just accept it. Now they're not getting violent. We should be happy about that. But it leaves it leaves a bigger question of election integrity by not announcing that we at least looked into it and verified that for a fact. And we've investigated completely, and Donald Trump is a legitimate winner. And rather than just saying the very next day after November 7th, he's the legitimate winner, and just take our word for it, and we're not even going to bother looking into it. I think that's a worse situation. Would you agree with that, or you think the question is, do you think that they did any investigating without telling people?
I'm assuming that there was some investigation without public disclosure. I mean, I think to your point, there is a fine line, or not to your point. I think a counterpoint to your point is that after 2020, we had people in Minnesota, and they were on the right, they were MAGA supporters, that were alleging that our voting equipment, and this was going on across the country, were alleging that the voting equipment was corrupt and not counting votes in an accurate way. And when they brought that to our office, I did look into it, but it was very clear from the start that the basis of their argument was just nonsense. I mean, they had no understanding of how our voting equipment works. They have no understanding of the certification process of our voting equipment. They have no understanding of the testing we do before every election of the voting equipment. So it was pretty easy to dismiss what they were alleging, pretty much out of hand. But it was my job to actually kind of at least take a look into if there's any truth to what they were saying.
Right.
I'm guessing, I shouldn't speculate again, but in 2024, any allegation like the one you're raising, somebody looked into.
Yeah, you would hope, but the fact that they haven't told us that they have leaves a big hole in our suspicion. It doesn't help us get back to trusting our elections. It makes us more suspicious, just because they haven't verified that. We've checked everything out every way to Sunday, and it's all legit. If they would just come out and say that, I think it would at least placate or just get us through to the next cycle. I don't know.
And not to be glib, but you're giving me fodder for my follow up to my memoir. I think I have more work to do on restoring trust in elections in this country.
Yeah. The title of your book is called "This Is Not Who We Are." Is that accurate? Because it feels like this is who we are.
So the title of my book is kind of facetious. I thought it was cheeky to call a memoir "This Is Not Who We Are," because a memoir is supposed to be about who we are. But to your point, the reason, and I talked a little bit about being a Japanese American and growing up in a very white community. What really was difficult for me during the pandemic in 2020 was the increase in attacks on Asian Americans because of COVID and where it originated from. And it really bothered me when I would hear pundits on news programs say, "This is not who we are. We don't attack people like this." And I thought, no, this is who we are. This is exactly who we are.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think true. And somebody said last night on Twitter, America absolutely deserves a second round of Donald Trump's presidency. Let's not kid ourselves that we don't deserve this. This is who we are. And I was like, well, yeah, I have to agree with that. It feels like, because I'm very much a never Trumper, but it feels like, how can you say this isn't who we deserve, or who we are? We absolutely deserve this. We gave it, not just, we looked the other way through all of the bad behavior. Of course, this is who we are. So it's hard to accept that idea. This is not who we are. Now I have the link, your Amazon link, because I think on the link that I have for your blog, I don't see any link to the book there. So I'm going to show this. This is the Amazon link where people can go buy the book. How long has the book been out?
It came out at the beginning of December.
Okay. Is there a reason you're not promoting it on your blog spot?
Is there? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Yeah. Is there a reason you're not promoting it on the blog spot?
I haven't gotten that far. This is new to me. I've never published a book before, so I'm kind of learning all the little tricks. And eventually it'll be on the blog. It's
more rigged than the election system, I can tell you that, because especially on the Amazon stuff, the publishing, you talk about corruption. The publishing industry is full of people that were artificially boosting stuff to get on bestseller lists, to get seen by more people. It's, this would be a good way for you to use your expertise in verifying election results, to kind of to introduce that to the publishing system, because the deck is stacked. And I'm not just being like conspiratorial here, because I've worked for a publisher who basically, there are systems where they use bots and artificial means by getting books boosted through the Amazon and all the online platforms. It's really stacked. Have you? Is this self-published, or are you with a traditional publishing company?
It's kind of a hybrid. I worked with a company called Paper Raven Books that helped me self-publish. So they provided an editor to me, and then they helped me develop the cover, and they formatted the book for me, and then they got it uploaded to Amazon. But to your point, yeah, I've heard all that, what you just said, to be true, that the algorithm, people in bots are playing with the algorithm just to get their book noticed on Amazon. I was in a meeting with Paper Raven yesterday, and we were kind of joking, one of us should go undercover and work at Amazon so we can figure out everything that goes on in publishing a book on Amazon.
Yeah, it's so really, I don't know, because when I was working as a consultant for a publishing company, what they would do was put the book out for free, but not really publicize it to the general public, but make it for free, and then have all these mailing list people download it to artificially get the numbers up before they charged anything at all. So they would boost your numbers, so the algorithm would push it up to bestseller list, and then they'd put a price on it and all that kind of stuff. It just really felt like this is just rigging the game. And if you're not hip to it, and you're self-published, you don't stand a chance of playing against these people who have machines that are built to do this.
Yep.
So it feels unfair. Yeah. So have you brought that up to the company that helped you publish this, and can they help it?
We've talked about different marketing strategies, and they are definitely in the know about what works and what doesn't work. To be perfectly honest with you, when I launched my book, we did exactly what you just said. We made it available for free for like a week. And then I told all my friends and my contacts, you can download my book for free, hoping it would generate more interest. We didn't get into using bots there are real people buying my book at this point, and I've heard from several of them. But there are marketing strategies that the Paper Raven knows about.
Okay. Now, about the book specifically, it's not just about elections, right? This is where it gets a little confusing to me. It's not just a story about election integrity and all that kind of stuff. It's also about dealing with depression, right?
Yes. So it took me 12 years to actually finish writing this book. And the impetus when I started to write it, I'm a big Bob Dylan fan, and Bob Dylan published a memoir in the early 2000s. It had 5 chapters of different sections of his life, and so that's kind of how I structured mine. I wanted to write about my career, but the other things I've mentioned, I struggle with depression, my cats, and other things, I wanted to include in the memoir as well. So it's more about the entirety of my life as I've seen it, reflecting back on it. And depression is probably the thing that is present in each of the sections because it's something I struggle with every day.
Huh. Now, when you started writing the book that long ago, there really wasn't much doubt about our election integrity. I mean, you can go back to the 2000 election, but other than that, in recent memory, there wasn't a whole lot of. I'm thinking the book changed as you were writing it, right? Or no?
Absolutely. So when I started writing it, it was going to be entirely about elections. It was primarily on there was some innovation that I led that eventually led me to become the director of elections for the state. But at the time, I was a city clerk of one of the suburbs of Minneapolis, and we used some technology that really improved our election system. So I was going to tell that story because it was a story of I was working with a company called Data Card, which is an international company that produces most of the credit cards in the world. But they wanted to get into the elections field, so we had this public-private partnership going on. And right as we were about to hit the big time, Data Card decided that it wasn't lucrative enough for them to be in elections, and they pulled out, which was really disappointing. But I was going to tell that story in the memoir, and then I determined that I don't have enough to do a book about that. And that's when I read Bob Dylan's book, and that's when I decided to change course and write about different parts of my life.
I love Dylan too. I have to say that. I think, Dylan's kind of he's a funny character. In talk about trust, because you can't take him at face value for anything he says. He's a story.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So now, is depression still a thing that you deal with? Because I tell you, I'll be quite frank here. Since November 5th of this year, I have not been diagnosed as clinically depressed, but I certainly think I have all the symptoms of it. Are you still dealing with depression, and have you found any answers to dealing with depression?
Yes, I'm still dealing with depression. In fact, I actually had to take a leave of medical leave from work this past fall, so I didn't actually get to administer the 2024 election. But yes, I'm still struggling with it. One of the things I've tried this past fall is ketamine treatments, and I think it helps. I mean, I'm a little worried about. It takes you to a different reality, and I'm a little worried that I'm getting too used to this other reality, and I want to escape this reality. But the theory behind ketamine, as it was explained to me, is that, and you don't have it in Georgia, but in Minnesota we get ice in our after multiple snowfalls, snowstorms. The ice gets ruts in it, tire ruts in it, so your tires get in these ruts and you can't turn. You have to just go and follow the ruts. And so ketamine was explained to me that it allows you to get out of the ruts and turn and go in a different direction. And I think I'm finding that to be true. In my last few ketamine treatments, I actually brought my memoir with me to hold on to during the treatment. And it really helped ground me and help me think about my entire life. And so it's something interesting. I don't recommend it for everyone, but I've gotten to the point where I will try anything at this point to feel a little bit better.
Now, to continue with your analogy, I don't know how ketamine works at all. So does it get you out of the ruts by giving you bigger tires so that or by breaking the ice? So that
it's more about breaking out of the ice so you can actually turn your tires and go in a different direction.
Interesting. Now, do you have to get clinically diagnosed and prescribed ketamine, or because we have a sponsor, Mindbloom, who offers ketamine? I have never looked into if it's available in New York State where I am. Is it something that needs to be prescribed by a doctor who is officially diagnosed you or clinically diagnosed you with clinical depression?
In Minnesota, it was my therapist who's a psychologist who prescribed the ketamine treatments for me. It wasn't my psychiatrist. So I think it differs in different states.
Yeah. Wow, it's interesting because I should know this stuff since we have a sponsor who does it. And I am definitely interested in that. Coming back to the book, is there an audiobook yet?
Not yet. That's one of the things I'm still working on. I've had several people say to me, I don't read books, but I would certainly listen to it. So that's something I definitely want to get done.
And it's definitely when I first started interviewing authors, that was the thing. I feel like we are losing literacy intentionally. Like we are doing this to ourselves, becoming non-readers as a society. I don't think it's good for mental health. I don't think it's good for intellectualism. I don't think it's good for any part of society to just push ourselves away from books. But as somebody who creates books, you want your content to be absorbed by people or consumed by people, and if they're only interested, it's kind of like a sticky wicket, right? It's if you believe like I believe that going down this road is unproductive for society, it's kind of against your own principles to actually do it, but you want your work to be appreciated by people. How do you first of all, do you agree with me that we are headed down a road where we are no longer going to be readers 100 years from now? Everything will need to be read to us or talked to us.
I absolutely agree with that. One of the frustrations I've had as I published my book is the number of people who told me they don't read books anymore, which surprised me, actually. I was in a club the other week, and someone wanted to buy my book, and so I told him how to find it on Amazon, and he said he would buy the book to support me, but he doesn't read books, so he didn't know if he was actually going to read it, and that was almost more of an insult than he was trying to be nice, but it almost seemed like an insult. I want you to read my book. That's why I wrote it. I wanted to share my story into the universe. I don't want this wasn't some money making scheme of mine to come up with money. It was me honestly wanting to tell my story into the universe.
Yeah,
And
and
so
it doesn't have to be about money, but when you write something, you don't write it hoping nobody's going to read it, obviously, because this is a problem I have with a lot of YouTube people who say, I don't care about clicks and views. Why would you put it on YouTube if you didn't care about clicks and views? If you didn't want somebody to read it, you wouldn't write it down. And so, and that's you've gone through all the 12 years of writing this book. Obviously, you want somebody to read it.
absolutely. Yeah. I want everyone to read it.
Yeah, it's important stuff. Now, are you? You're not in the election game anymore, right? You're not working for the state of Minnesota as a deputy to the Secretary of State of Minnesota currently, right?
Yep. I retired at the end of the year last year.
I was going to say retired because you were burnt out by the game or the frustration of trying to ensure an election integrity, or just because it was time?
I think a little bit of both. I definitely did feel a little burnt out and frustrated that people were believing things that were not true about elections, and that was really difficult to deal with. But it was also time. I spent, like I said, 25 years administering elections. One of the best things about the last couple of years in my current job or my former job was helping to mentor the new generation of election administrators that are coming in, and their enthusiasm and their belief in the system and its integrity. That really energized me, and that's part of my job I'll probably miss the most.
This is going to make me out me as the racist bastard that I am, but I want to talk about your Japanese background, your heritage. Are you a first generation immigrant or a third, second gen? What I'm getting at, do you have lineage that goes back to World War II in this country with the internment?
Yeah, I am a third generation, and my parents' family was interned in Idaho during World War II.
Right. We talk about never forgetting all the time. This very rarely gets up there. The atrocities that happened to Japanese Americans during World War II. And we always say never forget, but here we are less than 100 years ago, and people seem to completely have forgotten about that. We're getting ready to build internment camps within this country again. It seems like that never forget is just a bullshit line. Never forget until next week is what it feels like.
No, it's never forget my stuff. It's okay if we forget your stuff.
A good
And
point.
if it weren't for George Takei, George Takei, I don't think anybody else will even be paying the little bit of attention that we do to it, because he keeps the conversation alive. And if his character wasn't so beloved on Star Trek, I'm not sure that they would have cared then.
Yeah,
I agree with you. The Japanese American Citizen League is trying to do a job tying the internment of the Japanese during World War II with what's going on with Muslim bans and Muslim shaming. But you're right, George Takei is absolutely the spokesman for our cause, I guess I'll say. And Matt, you should read my book, because I didn't intend to write about being Japanese American, but I was surprised at how often it came up on how it impacts me, including my mental health, and always feeling like the perpetual outsider. I talk a little bit about my dad not really willing to share what happened when when they were interned in Idaho. Um, Eventually, later in his life, he was more willing to share his own thoughts about it. But it surprised me that it came out in my memoir, actually.
Yeah, well, you can't escape who you are and your roots, and not like escape is probably a bad word, but you can't get. It's part of who you are, and I think it's a valuable, as painful or as depressing as it might be to kind of revisit that stuff. It's important to not let people forget about it, because I think we do forget very quickly, and no matter what we think about, we keep coming back to repeating the same nonsense over and over again. And I think I think yours is an important story, and I do appreciate you sharing it. And but I don't think you can really get away from sharing it, because it's not, even though it seemed like 3 generations, that was a long time ago. It's not that long ago, and it's happening again.
Yes, it's not only is it not that long ago, but also we never learned the lessons from it.
Yeah.
That's the worst part. It's not just the fact that cultures have experienced these things. It's like we're going along and we're not learning anything from it.
Yeah, David, we need to get you on mainstream media. I know people, Ron, who just not here anymore. People aren't listening to mainstream media. Listen, Joe Rogan is probably not not going to be calling you anytime soon. But I think we need to amplify the message for this book and your story to a greater audience. And if there's anything I can do to help with that, I would definitely be willing to do that. I think bottom line here, the book is called "This Is Not Who We Are," but really it is who we are. And it's available on Amazon. The link is in the description. Do you feel like we can trust the midterm elections coming up with absolute certainty that we will get, we can trust the results as they come in?
Yes.
Okay. You say that pretty affirmatively. I've got to say I'm not sure, but I hate to. I'm not a conspiratorial guy. I just feel like there's too many. Is there any way in your mind that we can make it rock solid so that people like me are not skeptical anymore? What do you think is the solution there to break down my walls and the doubters?
I think one of the things you could do is meet your local election officials and talk about elections with them and get to know them as a person, because when you see the quality of the people that are in and I hate to call it a business, but are in the elections business, I think you'd be very impressed. The other thing you should know is the election director of Minnesota, Secretary Simon, and myself got regular briefings from the Homeland Security and the FBI. They're monitoring things going on in the country. And I don't know if that gets publicized enough either, that I had to get security clearance so I could attend classified briefings on elections, and that goes on with all 50 states election directors. And so there are a lot of things going on behind the scenes that make sure that when I say yes, I will. I believe the results of the midterm elections will be fair and accurate. I'm not just saying that to be saying it. I'm saying it from my experience as being an election administrator.
All right. I really do need to let you go and move on to to close this thing up. But the idea of one-day election, like getting rid of mail-in voting, everybody votes on the same day. Do you feel like that is a solution, or does it make any difference if in the end of how we do elections, whether we have mail-in voting or voting in advance or any of these things, to narrow it down to you have to be at the poll?
For me, I know Secretary Simon totally agrees. We want as many people participating as can participate in an election. We want every eligible voter to vote. And if you restrict it to voting on election day at a polling place, that's going to weed out. That's going to make it difficult for a whole group of voters who rely on being able to vote in advance of an election to vote. And so I'm a strong supporter of mail-in ballots. I do it myself. I know all the pieces again that are in the system to protect that vote and make sure it gets counted accurately. So no, I would not support going to just voting on election day.
Okay, we appreciate you being on part of the program. Wish you good luck with the book. I hope more people read it, and I hope we can help amplify your message and get more people interested in having you on and talking about these things. I think it's important to have the conversation and at least kind of address the uncertainty and the doubters and all that kind of stuff. So I think just in that sense alone, you're doing a great service to the United States of America. So thank you for being here.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Have a great day. Bye for now.
Thanks.
They even made it, folks. Wow, like Ron just like magically pops in.
I think they're the same person. That's why we couldn't see them in the same place at the same time.
That would make a lot of sense.
Ron, do you want to address these accusations that you are secretly writing memoirs about elections and working for the state?
And that you're secretly a Japanese American?
Exactly.
See, and that's exactly what somebody his lips would move, but the sound will come later. See?
No, he's got, and the cat has his tongue. Oh, he just you see that cat's got his tongue. Go like this. See, he can't do it.
Well, everyone's frozen, so who knows?
Well, one more time, if it one more time to say the system sucks.
It does suck.
Everybody knows that. Listen, you get what you pay for. I didn't pay much for this, so we didn't get much.
Yeah, but I mean, free software works better than this system. At least you think if they're charging you, at least.
I hate to say it, but at least for the next month, I don't want maybe because we still have one more day. But I'm thinking I'm gonna buy StreamYard for 1 month while I continue to look for better services.
Maybe we can reach out to them for a sponsorship.
What? I almost sent you guys. I have this system I bought. It was supposed to be a self-contained system called Livecaster, but it's a piece of software that I can't even figure out. It's got so many intricate I think there are 300, no exaggeration, 300 video tutorials from the same company on step-by-step on how you use 300 different videos. Like, who's got time for that?
That's wild.
Yeah.
I have OBS on my laptop.
I know.
And they're like different tutorials, and none of the tutorials are up to date with the version that I have. So it's like they say, do this. And I'm like, no, I can't do that because that's not on my version.
And you have to have all sorts of different plugins and all that kind of stuff with OBS. And same thing with Streamlabs OBS, the plugins and all. I just want something that works. And as much as I hate what StreamYard did with the pricing, it just worked. There wasn't a whole lot of complications, adding bullshit in and add this widget and that widget. It just worked. I miss Gage.
I do have a couple of showbiz stories. Not a lot, but there's a couple of things we could talk about.
Can I ask you in advance? Are we going to say hilarious?
Nope, not today.
Fuck! I want to say hilarious.
Go ahead and say it.
Hilarious.
There you go.
Well, I'll say, well.
And now, bringing you the latest in entertainment news from Hollywood, New York, and East Bumfuck, Montana. Here's our chief entertainment correspondent, Ron Kane.
Hilarious.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Showbiz. Showbiz.
Showbiz, everybody. Eat at Minucci's. Today is Thirsty Friday, so come on out. Free glasses of milk for the kids, so make sure you get yours today. Eat at Minucci's.
It's fresh. Fresh squeezed milk.
Yep.
Is that Anne Margaret?
It is. Very good.
Yeah. You know who Anne Margaret was? No.
No, but she's hot as fuck.
Right there. That's Anne Margaret.
Yes. That's all we have to say about you.
Sorry, I was distracted.
You really should be
on the sign
on the live stream video because you're missing out on Anne Margaret's lovely young nipples. Speaking to, I'm sorry.
Good.
All right.
By the way, MangoTV.com/doll. You can get that. We have the torsos now for sale. Torso sex dolls. Could have asked David about that, but
would you vote for a torso sex doll as your elected leader? So this was making the rounds. Apparently, I don't know. Some lady was fooled by Brad Pitt having cancer. I'm not sure how well you can see this picture, but they are terrible pictures. I mean, horrible. And these were made with AI, and someone fell for this and was sending money to what they thought was Brad Pitt. But in the end, you kind of deserve it, I think.
Didn't Chris Robinson sell Brad Pitt a great healthcare insurance policy? I don't know.
Apparently not, because you can see Brad's having a tough time.
Poor guy. I mean, I hate.
It seems like if they would just move his head to another body, he would be rid of the cancer.
My favorite one is that one in the top middle where it's just a big smiling face.
Yeah.
I thought maybe he was just doing like a Benjamin Button type of going back to the womb type of thing.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I guess they thought it was too much to have him shirtless in the pictures.
Yeah.
So don't fall for those AI scams. I mean, this. Yeah, never mind. Anyway, so
on Facebook, they had somebody dying who was very much alive, and not Brad Pitt, but I'll figure it out. But continue.
Yes. So the big movie opening this weekend is The Wolfman. So everyone rush to the theaters because Wolf Pussy is back, everybody, which is a nod to Nick Schwartz and
here on the radio. Wolf Pussy.
Yeah. So I don't know if anyone's out there going to see Wolfman this weekend, but there it is.
I wouldn't even know where to go.
Yeah, I know. So this is an interesting story. The Mouse, Disney, is being sued by an animator over Moana, the franchise. Apparently, this guy is claiming, because he wrote a screenplay, and he's claiming that Disney stole his ideas from him and put it into these movies, and he wants a cut of that. So he is currently suing them. Will this go anywhere? Who knows? But I thought it was an interesting story that's happening.
Yeah, I think Disney's got enough money they could buy like Herbie the writer off for a couple $100, and they don't need to steal from the has-beens. They can make them an offer. I don't think. My gut reaction is you're full of shit. It's just there are some coincidences that seem like maybe, but they didn't. Disney doesn't steal from nobody. They buy them all. It's like that Michael Clayton line. I'm not the guy you fucking kill. I'm the guy you buy out. Because
is it possible that Disney, quote, didn't steal it, but maybe a writer for Disney stole it and Disney doesn't know it was stolen?
That's possible. That's all.
Yeah. So this guy, his name is Buck Woodall, and his suit alleges Disney stole many elements of his animated film project titled Bucky. And it has here a fraudulent enterprise that encompassed the theft, misappropriation, and extensive exploitation of Woodall's copyrighted materials, end quote. On the part of the former, yeah. So,
I just want to say that we don't have us on minddogtv.com/doll. You won't see a head like that with the mouth wide open, welcoming orifice for you, because it's just.
And he also, he also alleges he produced a screenplay and a trailer for Bucky, which features a main character who encounters a tattooed demigod with a giant hook and giant creature that's concealed within a mountain, and began sharing details of said project with this other person in 2003. She is a she's a film's development director, Jenny Merchick.
It's available at minddogtv.com/doll.
Oh boy.
All right.
Who knows what'll happen with this, man? I mean,
It'll go away. I think, like Matt said, Disney will pay him something, and they'll make him shut up, and this goes away forever. He's not going to get a piece of the action, but they may give him a couple $1,000,000 or something just to keep him quiet.
Well, I'm going to claim that they stole the design for Moana from my hair. That's my hairstyle. That they just took the dreads out. They just tweaked it a little.
And
she looks more like my wife than you.
And that mouth is the same mouth that's on my sex doll. They stole that too.
I thought they stole that from Steven, the mouth, because it reminds me.
Actually, it looks like my wife a little bit.
All right.
Moving on. So 14 later is Final Destination 6, and fuck you.
God.
Aren't they dead yet? Didn't they die? I don't understand. Weren't they like dying during the Final Destinations the first time around?
How is it a Final Destination if they keep fighting new ones?
Yeah, no. So this is going to happen. There's no word on what the story is about, but it is in pre-production. So get ready. We're getting another fucking reboot or sequel or whatever, and this time it's Final Destination instead of Scream.
That's not Elvis. Elvis, or is it just my eyes playing games on me?
No, it's been Elvis. Now you know where he's been all this time.
Yeah, it's terrible. But Chappelle is hosting SNL this weekend, and of course, I don't know. There's some fake online outrage about it, or online,
of course,
a bullshit. I don't know. Get over it, folks. He's hosting, and this whole thing, it's all stemmed from his trans jokes. But I agree. I think Dave has definitely beat it into the ground and needs to walk away from it. That's just my opinion. But I understand his gripe. I think his gripe is very valid. Like, hey, if you want to make fun of black people and you want to make fun of everyone else, you got to be able to accept the terms too and be made fun of.
Right. I agree, and I think, but I also agree with you that he's really kind of beating a dead horse at this point. We get it. The trans community doesn't like you. You don't like them. It's fine. Do what you want to do, but can we get some new stuff?
Here's the deal. The point here. It's not like he's out there making trans jokes. All he's doing is saying, I'm the victim of the trans community. That's very different. If he was just out there saying, yeah, we should make fun of them too, and here's why, it's a chick with a dick. Make it funny. Don't make poor me a sermon, because that's what he's doing.
Exactly. It's just this. It's the last couple specials even are just kind of the same thing.
If bottom line, if you want to make trans jokes, make trans jokes. Don't come out and say making poor Dave jokes.
I made a trans joke last night and it went over well with 2 trans people and a bunch of gay people. They fucking loved it.
Right.
The last special he released on Netflix, The Dreamer, that was probably his best one. I thought it was solid. I liked it because Chappelle actually seemed more like a comedian, like he's supposed to be, and he called himself out on shit like being a lazy comedian and things like that. It's the Dreamer is a fantastic special. Some of the other ones, up and down, I would agree with that.
I saw somebody on Facebook the other night, and they said this is this is how little we think of ourselves. He said, "I said, hey Dave to Chappelle, and he said, yo, what's up?" Back to me, and that was a validation for somebody who thinks, wow. Dave, right? I said, "Yo, what's up?" to me, like he actually, like I was a regular person. That means I count as somebody. Like, wow, you got no self-esteem at all. If that's your self-validation is, he looked at.
I've never been one to fanboy over anybody like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like I've met a couple bigger name people, and it's never like, it's not a bragging point to me. They're just people.
But, yo, what's up? Walking by isn't even like it's
not an interaction. It's the most minor of interactions that's possible besides a wave.
You might as well be a homeless person he's stepping over on his.
Yeah. Hi, what's up?
Did anyone watch Ari Shafir's latest special? It just dropped on Netflix.
No, it's on Netflix. I didn't think it was. I thought it was going to be on Hilarious. I just wanted to say Hilarious, but I didn't know it was on Netflix. I'm going to watch it today.
Yeah, it's very good. Actually, it's very good. It's an interesting set too, but it was a solid set.
Yeah,
I gotta check it out. I was meaning to. I saw him on. I don't remember what I saw him. I think he was on one of the podcasts that I was gandering at. But yeah, heard about it.
I'm going to go on Facebook today and ask my dopey followers if they know who Ari Shafir is, and I bet you half of them will say like, "Isn't he Prime Minister of Israel?" No.
See, now I'd have thought Secretary of Defense of Israel.
I'm gonna put it that simple. Who do you know who Ari Shafir is? And we'll see. I think he deserves more recognition, like the Shane Gillis amount of recognition that he's getting.
His latest special, it's very good because Ari does what a comedian is supposed to do: attack everybody and point out the bullshit in everyone's argument, no matter what side. And he does that very well in this special. And he really pushes, and I love that. I love when a comic pushes, and because it needs to be done instead of like coming out there like, oh, just good.
Ian says, is it called Jew Part 2? Is that the name of the special, Jew Part 2?
No.
Oh
no, Jew was not bad, but this is an evolution for him. I think this is one of the best pieces of work he's put out, in my opinion.
Now, is this picture here? Is this Ari Shafir? Because he looks a lot like this other comedian I've seen before.
So GD's having a stroke, and so enjoy the suffering, everybody.
Why?
Football is this weekend,
and this Kelsey dude for enjoying the suffering. They don't look like they're suffering. Do you think it would be suffering to give her a smooch? Is that what?
Well, I think it's suffering because this is after the game and he hasn't showered yet.
Oh, yeah. No, he must stink.
No, he smells like the millions he just earned in that game.
All right. I don't know. I don't think Taylor Swift is necessarily hot, but I don't think it would be suffering to kiss her. That's all. We're promoting.
At least I'll never know.
Can you buy suffering on minddogtv.com/doll?
Are we selling the dolls now?
I'm pushing the dolls. The dolls are for sale at minddogtv.com/doll. You think I'm kidding? Just try going there. It works.
No, I'm not kidding. I don't think you're kidding. I just haven't tried it.
Yeah. All right. They didn't say anything about shipping samples.
That's okay. I wouldn't know. I don't have any room for a sample that size.
And I'm still confused why it has to be headless. I mean,
so you can imagine it's anybody.
Obviously, you are, because you have a collection of them. But if I were,
it all depends on what you're into. Maybe you're like into mannequins, and you're like, you know what, I really want a mannequin head, so you put the mannequin head on, or maybe you put a pillow there and put your boss's face there.
I see, and I think it, depending on your particular kink, you just cut a hole in the throat and do like a tracheotomy sex.
I just don't know where to go from there. So you guys need, instead of sending me like in the middle of the night when I'm in the middle of the night, like it's 2:00 in the afternoon. It is 2:00 in the afternoon. It's just my middle of the night. Instead of sending me Instagram videos, send me a reminder to talk to Tony Miller about next Friday. By the way, in the audience, if you don't know, next Friday it's a groundbreaking, earth-shattering change in the comedy world. These three knuckleheads and Tony Miller will be at the Giggle Snatch in Levittown, Long Island. Well, at Governor's Giggle Snatch room, without the snatch, unfortunately. But I'll bring the snatch. How about that? I'll bring the snatch.
Breaking news: Bob Uecker has died at the age of 90.
Oh, wow, 90.
Yeah,
wow,
he was that fucking old.
What's the cause of death?
Miller Lite.
Sex.
Tim Law says, "Giggle." Is Tim Law a new guy in our chat room?
He's somebody I know.
Oh, why would you smear him like that?
No, I performed with him once.
Somebody
in Southern Indiana.
All right.
Yeah.
So he says the Giggle Snatch sounds like his prom date.
Ah.
I wonder why. That leaves a lot to the imagination. Anyway, should we?
Well, I mean, we've already told him about the show next Friday, so I mean, the only thing left really is to tell him that.
And this weekend in Williamsport, Back Alley Bar and Grill. Showtime 8:00.
Is there ever a front alley?
Nope.
No.
Monday, I will be in one of the parking lots near Governor barking tickets, I think.
I will also be sleeping in my car at or near Gov's.
I'm going to actually,
stuff happens, so.
God willing, I will actually be in the same room with G.D. Fenderson.
And me.
Yeah, and I might be drinking because there's an open bar and I can't read stuff.
Oh, yeah, that's Monday.
And there'll be free food and free drink. And people who me, all in the same.
Then free drink and free bathrooms, then I'm in.
Well,
you guys aren't going to be drinking in the bathroom together, you fucking weirdo. God, what is wrong with you, GD?
I think we're the colored only bathroom there.
I feel.
I'm bringing in a sticker and I'm putting it on the door. I'm bringing a sticker and I'm gonna put it on one of the bathrooms that's colors only.
How long is your drive going to be out there, Steven?
10 hours, 49 minutes.
18 seconds.
Wow.
But that's assuming that's not including any stops or anything. And I'm giving myself time to, if I need to stop and take a break or go to the bathroom or anything, get gas.
So probably like 12, 13 hours then for you.
Yeah, roughly.
Get yourself a colostomy bag and then you don't have to stop.
Are you staying in Long Island Friday night?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, my plan was after the show was just to take a nap and then drive home.
He thinks he's coming to my house.
I don't think I could get into anyone's houses. Well, you're the only one that lives in town, but.
Well, it's probably a shorter drive to Indiana than it is to my Governor's is not close. This is why I don't, because I have been invited to do the show from there, but it's a 2 hour, literally at least an hour and a half, but with Long Island traffic, 2.5 hours. It's fun. It's a long way. It's not.
Yeah, I think it's going to be like 4 hours for me. We're going to leave like around 10 or 11 in the morning on.
And the Willie room still stinks from when Willie used it, and Willie wasn't even in it.
Well, we just need to button down if we're going to do the show together Friday morning or not.
It's Friday evening.
That's why I started by asking, instead of sending me your little Instagram reels or whatever the TikTok nonsense, send me a reminder about what we're going to do with this.
I shall do both.
Yeah, we should do the show, like you said, at 6 p.m., do it from 6 to 7 or like 5:30 to 7. Then that gives us an hour before show, the prep or getting that mindset and
all right,
fucking rock and roll at that point.
All right, Tony, if you're listening, respond. All right.
He's not listening. He's doing his show.
Well, cool. Then when you guys get into town, we can hook up and do something until we record.
No, I'm not hooking up with you ever.
I'm not meeting you in the Ace Hardware parking lot, man. That's different.
There's a Ace Hardware not too far from. We could.
We should just meet there and take a picture together just for shits and gigs.
Yeah. I will open and wrench you like you've never been open and wrenched before.
Oh yeah, well, I'll monkey wrench you.
I'm trying to ask you to say the phrase that pays.
Oh, don't forget to turn on your radio.
It didn't work.
Finish inside. Finish inside.
I'm coming for you.
I'll get this way.
What do you mean you can't finish?
Listen to me, listen to me now. Listen to me, listen to me, listen to me now. Listen to me, listen to me, listen to me now. Listen to me.